I want to be honest on the show. It's I know you're very much, you're considered like the heavy metal Oprah. I don't want to lie to you.
Hey everybody, Twitchland, please welcome the amazing Nuno Bettencourt in the house. Well, I'm in his house actually.
Your house and my house, I love that. Listen, I was a Twitch virgin up until now. Never been on Twitch ever in my entire life. This is a big day. You are popping my Twitch cherry. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. I've always wanted to be on here, and I had to pay Herman a lot of money to get me on here. A lot of money. And a bunch of picks, guitar picks. Guitar players need picks.
But yeah, thanks for coming to hang on this beautiful sunny day. I actually prefer the cloud earlier.
I know. We were worried about the clouds, but now we're missing the clouds because it was, Herman's like, hey man, you want to do this? And he came up to my studio. I'm like, well, I have the studio inside. Like, you kidding me? Look at the view. And we got perfect. It's always beautiful up here. Until today, it was like 50 degrees. And guitar players can't even play in a studio when it's 65 degrees. So try to do it with 50 or 48. So we're going to do our best, I think. Later on. That's my first disclaimer. My first disclaimer. There's plenty more coming.
Yeah, we actually can tell you that we are definitely going to play. We're definitely going to play because all this sound check, we're definitely going to play.
Oh my God. I don't care how bad it is. We're doing something after all this work.
And we haven't actually rehearsed because...
No.
We haven't.
Herman thought, you know what, let me get up there at 10 a.m. We got maybe 3 or 4 hours. We'll set up. We'll jam a little bit, figure out what we're doing. Nope. It literally, we just turned everything on, made sure some guitars were working, and God knows what's going to happen. But it'll be fun, whatever it is.
Something else fun that happened at the same time. Can you tell me and the audience what happened in your house?
You mean right before I came up?
Yeah.
A pipe burst in my wall in my bedroom, apparently. And it wasn't my pipe, if you know what I'm saying. It was an actual pipe. And yeah, there's like, you got, classic roto-rooters and leak detection and all sorts of stuff going on down there. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can come up and get them to join us and tell us what happened. I don't know.
There's a party going on down there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You guys are missing out what you guys supposed to see.
But here we are, the show, as Freddie Mercury said, the show must go on. And here we are.
So I'm going to try to not give you boring questions because you've done interviews for enough years.
Since back in the 1900s, I've been doing interviews.
Yeah.
Like electricity first started happening.
But you're going to get some boring one.
No, man, I don't ever think there's no such thing as boring questions. It's engaging is engaging. So whatever, bring it on. Whatever it is. You want to talk about hair products, conditioner, split ends? We'll hit it all today. We'll hit it all.
So I'm serious, right? So how the hell? You look exactly the same as the guy on my poster.
How old are you, Miss fucking, Benjamin Button over here? How old are you?
No, you look exactly the same as the poster I had of you in my bedroom with the guitar and stuff. I'm looking at what did you actually do here?
Because I am the poster. I've always been the poster. This is not even a real person. I've just been a poster. I've wanted to be a poster my whole life, so you have the poster. Too.
I'm sure everyone on chat agrees here. They basically agree, yeah, you're like a vampire.
Really? Already? Come on, bring him on. I don't know. Who wants to fucking talk about guitar, by the way?
This is madness. What's going on here today?
Let's talk about, this should be like, kind of a Sex in the City kind of episode here. Wow, I like that. I like that. Keep him coming. Can't believe Nuno's in your bedroom. I am in your bedroom. Oh, my poster is, apparently.
People are asking, does Nuno have a $300 hairbrush like me? Do you have a $300 hairbrush?
What? No, that's ridiculous. Mine's like $475. That's all you could afford is a $300 hairbrush.
I know. Look, I'm not living up in the Hollywood Hills here.
It's a pink one too, by the way. They only had pink.
Mm-hmm.
It is pink. I used it right before I came up to brush my poster hair.
Yeah, he's looking good. You guys.
Hey, look, come on. We look like brothers from different mothers from different countries, obviously, but we still look related.
Funny enough, some people, they're obviously blind to think like, oh, you look a bit like Nuno Bettencourt. So
I agree. I
don't?
do. I think we're very similar looking. We both look stoned all the time. Every time I was taking a photo, they're all like, could you open your eyes, please? Or could you stop smoking weed? I'm like, no, that's my eyes. Sorry. Those are my poster eyes, and I'm living and dying by them. So I think we both have that problem where we're just like, what? Anyways, but that's good. We're attractive guys, right? I think. It doesn't matter if we suck playing guitar. It's always, I was told that look good, work out, and maybe the guitar playing will come in later. Still waiting for that.
It's the illusion, right? You got to look good first.
Always.
So I do have a question. And a lot of people do ask me the same question. I'm going to ask you because you take it even more extreme than me. No pun intended. But so people nowadays, a lot of the guitar players, they have the guitar up. You see Tosin, he's like have it pretty high up.
God bless him. God bless him.
Literally like a necklace, right?
I'm working on him. Him, Tom Morello, I'm working on all of them. Like, lower that thing. Has anybody seen Jimmy Page, Song Remains the Same, Madison Square Garden, where it's down on his knees? That's the coolest thing you'll ever see. I can't go that low. It's kind of how low can you go? Because as guitar players, we all know the real secret is that the lower you go, the more you suck. the sloppier you are, because there's just no way to get your wrist to do it. When you sit down, it's like heaven. And when the guitar's up here, it's heaven. But come on, Tosin, too high. It's just too high, too high. We call that the Berkeley setting. You got to lower it.
So people ask me, how the hell do I play it that low? And I always said, I refer to you. I said, look at Nuno Bettencourt. Ask him. I don't know.
It's not even a joke. I know I kind of joke about everything, but this is real. Like, I decide, it's like a conscious decision to play at least 20 to 30% worse. Just from having your guitar look like that. I'm not even joking. You know why I'm right? Because go look at any extreme footage or anything where you all of a sudden see me rocking out, and then a solo comes up and it's like, why is Nuno putting his leg up on the monitor and then having his guitar up? It's not because it looks cool like Iron Maiden and shit, putting your leg up on the monitor. It's because it's easier to play the damn solo. That's why. Why. So the harder ones, I put my leg up there on the monitor. I gave my secret away. Damn it.
Otherwise, you gotta lean in that direction,
the whole
right?
lean thing. It's you're kind of doing weird shit. Like, remember Eddie didn't have it super low or super high. He was kind of like in the middle, but he would always do this thing where he'd lean and play stuff up because it was closer. It's harder this way than it is like doing this, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it looked cool as fuck too. And
so
it was Eddie.
Everybody out there practicing the guitar, you guys have to turn. We're starting this movement now. You guys got to get that guitar low and low and lower and lower.
Lower it, man. Chicks dig it. Forget how it sounds. Forget about all the guitar players in the audience that you're playing it 30% worse for. Chicks dig the low guitar. That's all that matters to me. And dudes, hey, I'm down for everything, whatever it is. In anybody's bedroom, I'll go in anybody's bedroom these days. That's where I'm at.
I mean, to be honest, since we talk about chicks, I think the guitar low thing is, it's high up there.
Okay.
But that was never really my thing that was able to help me with getting anywhere with women back then.
Really?
When I was.
What was your secret then?
That G chord and that.
The G chord in what? I know where you're going, I think. Is it a G major chord?
It's a G major chord. I mean, what? I mean, can you ever escape that thing? I mean.
More than chords?
More than chords. Look,
chords?
No women back then cared about a single thing I was playing. I can play fast arpeggios, solos. Yeah. It's like, this is so boring, and all I just need to do was rip out that badly played version of your song.
Listen,
more than words.
It's interesting. I heard that a lot, and it definitely didn't hurt my chances out there as well, having been one of the composers of that song. But look, we were blessed. That song worldwide touched many people, and I mean, there were times, it was everywhere. There were times when we were on tour and I'd come down from the hotel for my breakfast at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, like we all do. And then I'd be walking down the hall right before the lobby, and they always have these kind of halls where they do weddings and things, right? In hotels. So I'm walking and the doors are closed, but I'm hearing something very familiar, like a G chord in there. So I kind of just I'm looking in, I open the door just a little bit and I thought, oh man, this is beautiful. I see the bride and groom dancing, and it's of course to More Than Words. And I thought to myself, should I go in? Should I crash the party? I'm like, nah, my work is done here. It's over. It's their song. It's their wedding song. But it was amazing, man, when that, people ask that crazy question all the time. I always think it's a dumb question, but I understand. They say, was More Than Words a blessing or a curse? Meaning you're a rock band and it was a big song for you that broke you in the US. And people say it wasn't who you are, what you do. And I'm like, you're absolutely wrong. It is who we are and what we do because we wrote the damn song and we're proud of the damn song and we've been playing it forever, and we're blessed that went and broke down a lot of walls and doors for us and turned a lot of people onto Extreme. And and the way I look at it, let me see, More Than Words a hit, More Than Words not a hit. I'm here in this beautiful home with you. It's not, I'm working at Burger King and you never call me. So, and no offense to everybody working at Burger King. It's a great burger.
So for you guys out there that think I have a hit song, that's like a mini mosquito hit song, Through the Fire and Flames, compared to more than words,
But
right?
you got to remember though, like the guys who do the songs like More Than Words like us always want the heavier hits. That's just what's always, we're proud of it, but it's like, God damn it. I mean, let's Get the Funk Out. We did okay with it. Rest in peace. We had some fun with it. And the cool thing about Get the Funk Out, it broke us in UK first in Europe before More Than Words. So it was always like, there was never that confusion of like, for instance, if we were opening, I don't know, did ZZ Top tour or a Bon Jovi tour, for instance, and when you go out and play, and when More Than Words is out on MTV and #1 everywhere, and you open up with, you know, Decadence Dance or whatever you're playing, everybody's pumped to see you, and then look up, and after the first few bars, everybody's looking at the tickets, like going up, like, is this the right band? They didn't even listen to the album, goddamn it. And people were returning albums in the Bible Belt. It was because of Get the Funk Out, But a lot of people were confused, you know, because we came from that background of Queen. You know, do Queen, Aerosmith, Zeppelin, do what you love, do what you want. Don't worry about staying in any lane. You're a rock band, and rock and roll isn't just a sound. It's a frame of mind. It's a freedom, right? To be creative and do whatever the fuck you want to do when you want to do it. But that also created a lot of confusion for us at times. You know,
you had to fight to get that song even on the radio, right?
Absolutely.
When you had it, was it like? You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can give you the elevator version of that because a lot of people probably don't know. It's when More Than Words, when we did it on Porn and Graffiti, everybody's got to remember that this is pre-MTV Unplugged. This is when the 80s were in full effect. Not only the new wave stuff and the Madonnas that came in early, but late 80s was like the rock bands nobody did a ballad without it being a power ballad. It was big snares and cannons and it was amazing. Those were the productions back then. For us to do like 89, 90 to do a song sitting on a couple of stools, folk song-ish, you know, folk style, or you know, that probably hadn't been done since the 70s, really. If you think about it, the James Taylors and those bands, it was like an Everly Brothers track. So when we were on tour with Alice in Chains, actually. Alice in Chains was opening for us, and it was the first tour we'd done together. We were doing clubs. And people started singing the song, like just on their own. Me and Gary go up and they're kind of drowning us out. And I mean like 10 people. Alice in Chains and us, we were on what we call a roadie convention tour. We bring the roadies out to make it seem like there were people in the venues back then. And we were calling our record company saying something is going on with the song. And we should put it out as a single. And everybody's like, management was like, no, there is nowhere to play it. What radio station is going to play that track before, I don't know, a big Dawkins song or whatever is going on at the time, big productions. So nobody wanted to do it. Our management didn't think it was it. They said it was not a hit. People at the label were like, we don't know who's going to play it. We really don't feel it's going to compete in anywhere. So we literally fought for it. Flew out here, paid a ticket to go and knock on La Brea Ave on the big gates and really try to convince Al Cafaro, who was an amazing man, amazing president. We're at a label who's got like Janet Jackson, Sting, Sheryl Crow, Soundgarden. It was a really unique, diverse types of bands. So we were just pleading, saying, this is what we do. And if you guys are going to decide like what they should hear from us, then I don't even want to fucking be in this business. I'd rather quit the band. And we had like a 6-album deal, and I was ready to just like fold and go like, if we're not going to release the songs we want to release to our fans, then what are we doing here? And somebody else is going to decide that for us always. I get it. It's a label. But, you know, we finally convinced them. It was like test marketed in a couple of places. And we went off to Europe, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like #7 at top 7 at 7. And then by the end of the week, it was #3, and we'll test it somewhere else. And nobody could believe that an acoustic song at that time could actually break through in the late 80s. And it did. And then we flew straight back to La Brea. We can see it from here at A&M, where Henson is now. Shot a really low-budget video. Everybody wanted all of a sudden to spend, back then they would do videos. We're going to put you on a mountaintop and you're going to come out like Slash. You're going to step on a piano and play in a church and there's going to be a helicopter. We're like, no, let's do a budget where it's black and white, simple like the song. And we had great directors and we went in and shot it for nothing. We go off to Europe. You got to remember, this is, like I said, back in the 1900s. This is pre-internet, pre-like cell phones. And all we're hearing is like, when we call home is like, my brother's like, you guys are kind of like on the radio now. And we're like, what? We're in the UK, we're in Germany. And he goes, man, you're on MTV now. We missed the whole fucking thing. Next thing you know, we get a phone call. I remember speaking of bedrooms, and I was definitely, I was going to say I was in my underwear, but I sleep fully nude. So I want to be honest on the show. I know you're considered like the heavy metal Oprah. I don't want to lie to you. And I was completely in my bed nude. I get a phone call from my manager. who he said wasn't a hit. And he said, don't tell me I told you so, but I just got a call from Billboard and it's going to go to #1 tomorrow. Yeah,
when you were young.
It didn't matter. We were 10 kids. We had moved over, immigrants, and we lived in a 4-family home in Main Street, Hudson, Mass, which most of my family, a lot of families still in Hudson, and I love Hudson dearly. That will always be, a home to me in Massachusetts. And we had some guitars, but we had the quality of instruments didn't matter. Everybody played in my family. My biggest guitar hero was my brother Louie. My brother Louie, if people now see, I try to keep him a bit of a secret. It's kind of got out a little bit since the internet, but whenever they'd hear him play, they'd look at me and go like, you thief. Like he was the guy. He's the guy that you stole everything from, and he was an amazing player, still is an incredible player. Nuno Bettencourt, man, and lives back in the Azores, and he was my first real guitar hero. Obviously we all grew up, including him, turned me on to Page and all these different guys and Van Halen inevitably. But to buy a guitar, are you kidding me? It was like go to at the time it was Wurlitzer Music, and buy a body, a Warmoth parts with no paint, just wood. That's why the N4 still has no paint. It's to stay true to that initial thing of semi being poor-ish, and everything was unfinished necks and unfinished bodies. And when Washburn wanted me to do the model and actually do the model, they were going to put all sorts of paint on it. At the time, it was Steve Vai had all his models out with the lime greens and the pinks and all that. And they told me it's never going to sell if it's wood. And I'm like, I don't care. Keep them wood. And I remember being at NAMM show, a little booth. Nobody knew who the hell I was and still didn't know. Signed a few autographs. But then the following year, as you know, it's like an athlete that does well, the sneaker sells, right? So we have some hits, the band sells some records. Next thing you know, the guitar really took off, and we kept it wood, and we kept it that way. And it's because I always consider, it reminds me of like when you don't have much. Always was a workhorse for me, that guitar, and it still is. It's the only guitar that I use.
So the one you got now,
the one I got now, there was two of them. The original one, the N4 that they made for me, I had to retire because it was almost stolen 3 times. Out of a venue, out of an arena. Somebody caught it. It was left on a plane once, and it became too meaningful to me to want. It's like a body part, It's like a child to me. So I retired it. I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's hidden somewhere in Europe. Friends got it, and in a safe place. And I have the Bizarro N4, which is the 4N, which is an exact guitar from that period. So it's essentially the same guitar. But a friend of mine, Steven Sherman, lent it to me, and it's become my child now. And it's what the 4N is. And just a couple of days ago, though, I bought the original, the first ever N4 ever sold.
Oh, you bought it?
I bought it from another player. He reached out and said he had it was a limited edition. They only did 20 guitars and started with 3 digits. It was 901 to 920, and I got 901. So outside of mine, that was custom made for me, and it was exactly copied. I just got the first one 3 days ago.
Did he give you a good deal?
He kind of beat me up a little bit. I had to give him some guitars, some money. Anyways, it all worked out. Look, it's a sentimental thing. Actually, I would have paid more. You kind of fucked up. I would have paid a lot more. No, I'm kidding. It was parts, and it's still, and it's near and dear to me. It's the only guitar that I feel like, a guitar player has the one that belongs to them. And I can't tell you how many times, you could hang out with Brian May, and I had the luck, the blessings of being on stage with so many of my heroes, and even Eddie Van Halen handing you what he plays, or being on stage with Brian May and you're in the middle of Tie Your Mother Down and he decides during it to give you his guitar, and then you wish he didn't. You wish he didn't because it's unplayable for you. Just like, on the Generation X tour, we all like the thing that we loved, like, can we play each other's rigs? It was a nightmare. I mean, it was fun to watch Yngwie play your guitar, or you trying to play his, or trying to play Zach's. And it's amazing how your Excalibur, your sword, is just defined by your fingers and your body and how it fits you. You have to, even when I get a new N4, it's not even quite right for me until the sweat and the blood and it shapes into you. And that's what I loved about the no paint. It kind of it morphs into your body.
Yeah. The no paints really makes that, the aging process with you.
Man.
I played the one with no paints for like 10 years and I retired it.
Yeah. Because they take a beating.
People say I always do that all the time, but I finally found someone to match me in numbers.
Oh my God, nobody does this.
You do that more than me.
More than I do. Steve Vai, that was probably the first question, when we sat down to do the Generation X tour, and I thought he was going to ask me about, like, what do you want to do? And he just said, what is this? And then this. And why is your hair never down the middle? It never is. I've never parted my hair down the middle. You at least, what separates us is you have a great middle part. I can't seem to do it. My hair always has to leave. If you give me a damn photo, show me one photo of my hair long where it's actually down the middle, I'll give you one of my guitars, I swear to God. I don't think it exists. I think it's impossible to find. I've always, my equilibrium always leans one way or it leans the other way. And I think it helps my playing.
I once asked Joe Satriani, I said, I don't know, I had a drink or something. I was at the show. It wasn't that long ago, maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
I said to him, Joe, definitely a few drinks, after a few drinks. I said, look, you know, when you had to cut your hair and shave it all off, did it take away your, I mean, was it weird to play the guitar? You can't interact.
It's weird, man. I did it. I cut my hair off in the late 90s. It's different. But what did he say?
He kind of laughed and kind of didn't say anything. I was
Did
kind
he
of
punch
like,
you? He should have punched you. That's a crazy question. Because he might have just like lost his hair and you're like, why did you cut your hair?
I don't know. I had a few drinks, you know.
Yeah.
We're like guitar players talking heart to heart, you know.
Heart to heart, hair to hair.
Yeah.
Head to head, like whatever you want to call it.
I'm sure I asked everyone a stupid question before, so we'll get to you at some point again.
Oh, listen, I've been in major interviews, guitar interviews, where they've asked me about my hair, and I'm just like, okay, let's do it. Let's do the deep dive. You want to talk split ends? What do you want to talk about? You want to talk hair color? What are we doing?
But this is great. I'd rather talk about hair than playing the guitar sometimes.
You know, it's so true though. Like some people love, you know, there's guys that we know, people love to get so deep into the technical side of guitar. I'm the worst. We both have done like Guitar World. We talk about Guitar World a lot, which is one of the best guitar magazines in the world, period. Greatest people, greatest interviews. They're so kind, they're so versed in guitar, but so much to the point where you're like, they're showing you things about yourself like I never knew until they were in front of me, where I'm doing a part and then I switched to do a tap and I had never known that I, without knowing, passed the pick to a whole third finger and I hold it in the weirdest way. And ever since they told me, it's fucked up my whole playing things. Now I'm thinking about, I'm holding this pick hanging by a thread. But they analyze and they know your parts and they know your tone and they're so good at it. But I'm not that guy. I don't know if people know or not, I don't read a lick of music. Do you read music?
Nope.
We're failures. We're horrible. That's why I could never get into Berkeley, my own hometown. It was never going to happen. And but you know, my ear was always faster than my eyes, and my comprehension is always audio. It's never visual. Visual, you like. I wanted to learn so badly how to read music, and I took this conservatory outside the school. I could never get in, but they had like after hours stuff. So I'm with this professor of classical guitar, and I took the whole piece home, and I'm learning it, and I'm playing it in front of him now. And this is when I knew that career was over. I was like, I'm playing this beautiful classical piece, and he's like, wow. And he's flipping the pages. He goes, it sounds really, really good. It's too bad you're on the next page already. And I was like, see, I do everything by memory. I can sit and listen to stuff and rip stuff out and do it. You put a sheet music in front of me, like that's why I quit high school. That's why I have no high school education. It's just I don't have that reading comprehension. I'm probably a better reader than anybody, but I got to go back and read what I just read to really understand. It was always audio for me, always.
Well, how old are you when you did when the Extreme first album came and the whole kind of...
Great, you had to go with the age thing, didn't you?
Yeah,
tell everybody how fucking old I am.
At least talk about how young you were. Yeah. No. Not talk about now. I mean, we don't want to talk about that. We got to change it.
I'm proud. I'm 34. And I'm so proud to be, okay, I'm 55.
You know
Nothing
what?
wrong with that.
It's better to tell people you're older and you look like 20s.
You stay in shape, you try to eat right, you do that stuff. Like, I'm not afraid of fucking COVID. I feel good. Come on, COVID, bring it on. No problem. We'll knock that shit out. I feel good. And no, you know, I'm joking, half joking. But yeah, it's, how old was I then when I did what?
When the whole, you know, you got the record deal and all this stuff with Extreme.
Oh, man. 19, 20, right there. 20. It was like we Extreme started in 84, 85. And then I got Pat in the band. It was me, then Pat in the band, me, Gary, Paul, Pat. And then we got a record deal within a year and a half.
Wow, that's quick. I mean, you couldn't go to do the whole college thing anyway, because
we did the college thing. Boston is the college thing. You know, in Spinal Tap, they say Boston's canceled. And the guy goes, manager says it's not a big college town because it's a joke. It's all college kids. So the scene we were playing in was college kids. The college radio had rock stations and heavy metal stations and heavy metal nights and it was a great scene, man, back then in like 85. to 88. It was so many clubs in the Channel and the Paradise and, you know, in Square Men's Bar. There was Narcissus where we played. There was a metal night. The Rat, the famous Rat across the street, which was punk rock, really really took a big leap there in late 70s, early 80s. So we lived in a great music town. We still do. It's just different now, obviously, a little bit different. But man, I know the LA scene was happening, and we have Sunset Strip and everything else, and that was happening as well, always and still always will be. But we had our own shit going on there, a bit of an East Coast thing going on there. And so late 80s, mid 80s, man. Mm-hmm. Crazy. And it's funny, Tom Morello reminded me because he was going to Harvard while Extreme was playing clubs. And he said, you know how many times I was actually front row watching you while I was at Harvard?
Oh,
like
shit.
He brought his mom one night, like to see the show. And I wonder why his band was a little funkier. Funk Against the Machine was the original name.
Yeah.
And it was too much like Extreme, so he changed it to Rage Against the Machine. No, I was a big Rage fan because I loved the riffs and the familiarity of the funkiness and everything. But he said he always loved the sound of the band. It was a little bit different. It hurt us a bit in the 80s because we weren't the straight up chugging metal bands. But we were like, we had a little bit of a funk style to us and horns and things. And people were like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, why are they doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought you guys were like not really fitting in with anybody.
We had a problem. It was square peg, round hole. Tours, everything. People are like, Extreme, they're kind of funky, they got horns, but they're heavy, but then they got More Than Words and Wholehearted, and then they got When I First Kissed You, which is like a Frank Sinatra track on Porn Graffiti. So we loved that badge, wearing that badge. We didn't do it on purpose to be different. If you woke up and you sat on the piano, you wrote a great song, you put it on the album. And if it was, it wanted horns on it, you did it. If you wanted an accordion, you put it on there. And when we go back and we dip into the Queen albums and we see the musicality from track to track, we weren't doing it because of Queen either. We just thought that was the norm. That's where we lived. That was the space. And we thought Zeppelin did that too. Zeppelin did. And even Van Halen to me. Van Halen had I always was attracted. Van Halen had some funk stuff to me. Like, first album, second album, was, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, and they had, and I always loved that. It's like Aerosmith had a funkiness to them. Zeppelin at times with the crunge and all that stuff. They had songs that had a funkiness to me, a rock funkiness, And hey, Butterfly, how are you? That's my pet butterfly.
Yeah, we had a bee earlier, by the way, when we were sound checking.
We were sound checking something. We don't give it away, but there was an actual bee flying around while on cue with the actual bee. It was pretty bizarre. Yeah. I had a big hive around the corner. Steve Vai wanted to use my property. He's got making honey around it's a whole thing.
Rockstar secrets here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. We love it.
There's stuff, man, people shouldn't want to know, don't want to know. It's the stuff that you see, and the stuff that just me and Herman were doing yesterday when we were talking about this, and just, we're not joking, man. We came up here and there's Wi-Fi. My house is really separate. It's way down there, and I'm up here where the pool is and the studio is. And I'm really blessed to have this amazing view for inspiration. And we're here like, of course, let's do it here. We got this view, sunny out. But man, when we tried to hook up that Wi-Fi, it was dropping out like every 5 minutes. We're like, man, it's a wrap. We can't do it. And I'm like, but the Wi-Fi in the house works. And he was like, what do we need? Because it's an Ethernet cable. Like we first thought, okay, we have a 50-footer. We literally threw it down there. It didn't make it. I didn't make it down. Hit Best Buy, get a 150-footer? We have a 150-foot Ethernet cable that we both, two guitar players, we never want them to work on your house ever and do anything like workmanship. Trying to climb this mountain with an Ethernet cable to go down and get it into my living room, out of my living room Wi-Fi. That's how we're reaching you today.
We need to get the internet here to do the live stream. And Nuno, he's a big sports fan. So he's gonna throw this cable all the way down.
All the way down there to the top of that house. So we can get in good solid Ethernet internet, not this Wi-Fi crap. Herman don't fuck around with this fairy tale waves through the air. He's like, we gotta be connected. So let's see if this works. I guess the question here is, how many guitar players does it take to get Wi-Fi? Let's find out.
I'm gonna throw it right. I'm gonna.
You got the end of that. Don't let that
I got it.
All right. Here we go. Oh, it got tangled again. Fucking Best Buy, man. Come on. It's got to be right in that gap. I've done it before. I've thrown the guitar through there, so there should be no problem. Here we go, man. This is once again, how many guitar players it take to get internet? This is how it works. 3, 2, 1. We did it! Yeah! That's it. You don't even have to play now. That's it.
Yeah, and I tell you, going up and down the stairs here,
oh my God.
It's like it's like the.
That's why I'm in shape.
That's exactly.
It's just the stairs.
Yeah, the stairs are insane going up here. Oh, we're gonna ask you some stuff. Something not too difficult. We'll get to difficult stuff later.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, great.
Opera always got to do something.
I'm already sweating over here. I thought this was the difficult shit. What's going on?
How did you end up touring with Rihanna?
Man, it's like what everybody else would do. As a guitar player, I camped out in front of her lawn and then the house, and I waited till she came out, and I begged her if I could be her guitar. I thought she needed to make her tracks heavier, and that's how this whole thing started.
That trick didn't work for me, though, so there must be something else.
No, there was something else. There's a great guitar player named Tony Bruno. He was the MD, rocker. Such a great guy, great player. He's out of New York, and I get a phone call. We just finished an Extreme tour, and I get a phone call, and he says, I know you've turned me down before. I know you're not a side man, and you got your own band, and I've never done anything with anybody else. And he said, Rihanna's looking for a player. We've auditioned a bunch of players. They were terrible. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking in my head, how hard could that be? She's a pop artist. I was fucking wrong. It was difficult because the genres, if you really care to listen to Rihanna's stuff, which you should, it goes from like a reggae feel, full reggae feel joint, to like a club track, to like trap, to straight up pop, to the feels, the hats that you have to wear to really make it sound. Because the musicians that you played with, they're no fucking joke. These guys come off like the Stevie Wonder tour, and then they go, these are musicians. So the band that she had was no joke. All the greatest players in the world. So when I got to that, he said, would you do it? And we just finished Extreme. So I'm like, fuck it, why not? Just a little promo run for a couple of months. And he said, at first I said, why would you need me? There's no guitar. And he said, that's why. We want you to come in, I guess, so I get to be myself? Yes. You rig, rock out the tracks, rock out great songs like Umbrella, make them heavy, power. And it was amazing. I got to do so much with these tracks. And when I realized, when I got in that room and I was playing with these guys, I was like, they're not playing it just like the album. They're like, let's make this thing, let's stretch a bit. Great keyboard players, great bass player. Everybody was amazing on that tour. Background singers. And Rihanna, a lot of people are like, can she sing? It's a pop artist. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. She never mimed once live. Not once. And she always, great singer. It kind of made me think, like, as you know, productions these days have a lot more auto-tune, a lot more stuff. And they use it on her and they do it stuff. Don't need it. It's more of a sound. It's more of a sound than like, oh, let's tune this girl up. Because this girl can sing. For sure. And I was really impressed. I was surprised, a pop gig. But no, it was far from that. To the point that I was doing a gig in the UK. And because I was on tour, magazines would still want to reach out to your management and say, hey, Nuno's in town. You want to do an interview? And they'd come to the venue. So I'm in the dressing room doing, a guitar interview. And talk about what we're doing on there, but also Extreme and other stuff like that. And I'd say to them after we finish, sound check, doors are open, and say, hey, there are 2 tickets for you guys. If you want to go grab them, here they are. And they look at each other and they look at me and they go like, not really our cup of tea, you know what I mean? It's cute and all, but and I'd say, look, do me a favor. You're here. We're starting in an hour. Grab some popcorn. The seats are great. Check out a couple of songs and then leave. I saw them after the show. They'd come back with their pass and go, what the fuck? They were like, we apologize. We had no idea that it was going to be what it was. And I had features and long stretches of solos, and the band was insane. It was like really amazing players to watch play right in front of you, doing these amazing hit after hit after hit with a crowd. It was really different than what everybody thinks it would be. And so after that, like, everybody really started coming down and going like, and enjoying what it was, because I got to really play. I got to really play on that stuff. And
you got like this crazy pop music production, right?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's dancers everywhere, like fire everywhere. It's like, Kiss, it's a Kiss show, you know what I mean, in a pop world. And yeah, there was like pyro everywhere. It was amazing. You get to sit on a pink tank with her and play a fucking beautiful song. The pink tank was $250,000 for fuck's sake. The rock guys aren't going to pay for a pink tank. They're not going to spend that kind of money. It ain't happening.
There you go. Oh, I never knew that. I thought, oh wow, that must be really easy for you to play this stuff.
No, it was always kept you on your toes, and you got to play. I got to play solos, and people don't realize that it's never about easiness. Is not the technical thing, because you're right in a way. It's technically probably not difficult, but it was almost like a gig I had been training for my whole life, and I could see why they had problems finding somebody, because not everybody's just going to show up. Like, I grew up on everything that we just talked about, different genres, different things. And if I hadn't had that and had all that Beatles stuff and had all the reggae stuff and everything and the funk stuff, there's no way I could play this simple shit. Because they would have looked at me and gone like, you got to get out, like get out. Like if I played a reggae song, just to do the simple stabs that you do, all that stuff that you know that I've do with my right hand and the percussiveness that the way I love to play, all were about that gig in a really bizarre, cool way. Interesting, you know.
Interesting. Which solo projects have been like, you know, I'm gonna say it, word for word, closest to your heart?
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty cool question, because whenever I did anything that was considered solo, you know, first of all, I don't think I've ever done anything that is for any other reason than the love of it, extreme or otherwise. But these were definitely, hey, let's do something different, and stuff that I wrote. Probably Schizophonic was probably the biggest one for me, because it was the first time that I sung on an album, and I did all the lead vocals, and it was different. I'd never done that. I was always a background singer. I never even I still don't like my voice that much, but I love to sing. I love the expression and the emotion of singing. But when I hear myself back 90% of the time, I'm like, why can't I sound like Richie Kotzen? Why do I got to sound like me? If I had a voice like Richie Kotzen, I probably would have never picked up a guitar. I'd be headlining stadiums somewhere with one of the biggest bands in the world. But it was like, I just like wanted to sing and express myself, wrote most of the lyrics at that time, where it was always Gary, mostly, and we collaborated later. But it was a big stretch, and the biggest stretch was the album cover for me, being a woman on the cover.
That's right, I remember that thing.
Yeah.
That was quite controversial when that album
was,
yeah.
Especially when people didn't know. Most people didn't know, and I'd be like doing like, album signings and stuff, and this dude would say to me, he goes, hey, did you get to meet the girl on the cover? And I thought he was kidding me. He goes, did you get to hang out with her? I'm like, oh yeah, I hang out with her every night. Every night, me and her, we make love every night, especially on tour by yourself. But yeah, people didn't know. I didn't tell my family, I didn't tell anybody, and the majority of people did not know it was me on that cover.
Oh, really?
And the reason I did it by default, there was supposed to be another woman, but she got in a car accident on the way to, she's fine. But so it ended up being me, and I have a whole new respect for women and men who want to pluck their eyebrows. I went full in. The makeup artist said, you got to pluck them, you got to do this. And she's like, is that a tear rolling down your eye? No, I'm not crying. You're crying. I'm not crying. And no, man, it hurt. And I was like, I'll never do that again. But a lobotomy scar and me playing Marilyn Monroe was amazing. I loved it. And I do it every weekend now. It's incredible.
Yeah, that must have really kind of scared some people at that time, like in the
yeah, at that time, a lot of people were like, dude, what are you doing, man? Wait, bro, what are you doing dressing up as a woman? Like, I'm dressing up as a woman. It was amazing. I had a blast. I get it. I get it. We should all do it once in a while. I think women should dress up as men once in a while. And if anybody's seen 9.5 Weeks, I'm dating myself, the old classic with like Mickey Rourke and I think it was Kim Basinger, where they were like doing role playing. And one time it was her in a suit and they had like a meeting and she was a hot ass fuck. So yeah, women in suits, let's go. She even painted a little mustache. Why not?
So since we talk about singers, so when Gary Sharon joined Eddie Van Halen, did you get to really hang out with Eddie? Like, was it like, fuck, Gary, can I come and hang out with Eddie?
Oh, let's get something straight, man. I fucking knew Eddie before that. Let's get something straight. I had actually, the thing with Eddie was I was in LA producing, we just finished Porno Graffiti, and Dweezil Zappa reached out to me. And he ended up being a big fan of Extreme and mine, and he said, would you produce my album? And I was like, okay, I'll stay. Extra time, we stayed here and produced his album. And one day we were about to go to the studio. He'd pick me up every day. And he said, hey, I got to do a quick stop in the Valley. And I think at the time I'd never been to a center staging. We all kind of know it now. But back then we were an East Coast band. I didn't know about center staging. And I just got to pick some up. He's like, I'll wait in the car. He goes, no, come on in. And of course we rock up. I hear music. He opens the doors and it's Van Halen rehearsing for a tour. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And of course it's Eddie's rig right in front of me. And I'm like, okay, this is too much for me. And Eddie, and I'm thinking, you always have that fear that he's my guy. I have my Mount Rushmore, which is like Page, Brian May, Eddie. I throw Hendrix in there, although I'm not as influenced by Hendrix, but I think those are the four guys that rock the world and rock for me. But I throw in, an Angus Young and all, and a bunch of guys that can be in that 4th, 5th spot, 1 to 10 it should be. But Eddie was the top one for me. It was just the way he played everything. He influenced me the most and taught me about how you can have fun with rhythm playing, where a lot of guitar players should be just, hey, we write great riffs, like Page was great with riffs, and then you take a solo. Eddie was like, no, man, let's have some fun during the rhythm. Let's throw in some things and compose things in and out of the vocal. And it really, that was it. You know, that was it for me. Like, he was my guy. Sound-wise, are you kidding me? Tonally, we'd do an Extreme albums, like put up Van Halen 1 and 2 first, get inspired. Let's listen to his guitar sound. Let's see if we can get anywhere near that kind of vibe and you know, do your own version of that, of course. And that was what inspired me and triggered me. So to all of a sudden be in that fucking room with him was just like, what do you do? And you're afraid he's not a good guy, or he's gonna like punch you in the face, or he's gonna throw you out, or you don't know what's gonna happen. But he came over and stopped playing, and not only came over and gave me a big hug, was charming, but like, you know, gave me the biggest kiss on the lips. It was amazing. What more could a guy ask for than having your idol kiss you on the lips? Come on. I was just like, I had to turn away and kind of like, you know, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, make sure I got the DNA in there. But it was amazing. He was so kind. He was so giving. And I thought I was special. I thought I was the only one he kissed on the lips. Then I read something that Kurt Cobain said he kissed him on the lips. So he was just a whore. Eddie was just a whore. Kissed everybody on the lips. I thought I was special. And but the thing was, as you and I know, and this is a good thing for guitar players to learn about, is that all I could think about after that, and they kept playing, was just, I would love everybody to disappear so I could play his rig. Just play. Like, finally, all those times of wanting to sound like him, here it is. The guitar, the cable, the head, the pedals, the DNA on the strings. That's it. And then then they took a break, and the magic words said, the greatest of all time says to you, come and play my rig. And you're like, you kind of go, is this a good or a bad thing? Like, because now you got to play in front of Eddie Van Halen. And of course, I grabbed the guitar. He goes, no, just play whatever you want. I'm just dialing in a pedal. So in my bizarro world, I got his guitar on. Thankfully, the strap was a little higher, like Eddie likes it. That's good. And he's down there checking a pedal. He's like, yeah, play whatever you want. And I'm like, what the fuck do you play for Eddie Van Halen? For the first time he's going to hear you play. So I had just finished like recording Get the Funk Out, the solo. So I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to do something like I think is kind of cool that I just did and recorded. Playing the whole solo to Get the Funk Out. And I start doing the tapping where it skips strings and stuff. And he stops and he turns around and he goes, hey, none of that silliness. None of that silliness. And I was just like, and then it occurred to me that an article in Guitar Player magazine had just come out where I called his tapping. They said, you tap. And I go, yeah, I do, but I feel silly doing it because it's Eddie all day. As a compliment. So he was like, none of that silly shit that's happening. So he reads articles. We didn't know. He reads articles. And it was one of the greatest days of your life. The bad news, I'm playing. First chords I hear sound exactly like me. I was so depressed. I was so bummed out. And I learned really quick. You can have the guitar, the amp, the strings, everything else. It's here. It's all here in your fingertips. It's here in your touch. It's where you touch the strings. It's where you do it. Yeah, the amp can do a little bit. It's just his amp with you through it. So I learned really quick that, man, when you pick up a guitar, I pick up your guitar, I can sound like me. And you're not going to sound like me when you pick up N4 either. You're going to still play like you. Tones will be there a little bit, but not the DNA. No way. And that's when I was like, these little pads that we have here and the little touch, and it's down where we hold the pick, to the edges, how we do it. And when you watch Eddie, where he holds it, the fingers he does it, where he hits it on the string. Nobody should ever calculate that and emulate it, but it taught me a big lesson that, in a cool way, that, man, there is no one like you. And I mean not the guys like us who record, I mean the guys that are at home playing for the love of it in a fucking garage or playing it in their basements. I said this at the Generation Extra, like I tell them, I tell everybody, how many people playing guitar out there? And, you know, raise their hands, and there's like 12-year-olds, there's 70-year-olds. And I'm like, and I tell them, I say, look at me, I'm up here with the idols that I was influenced by, Steve Vai, Malmsteen, guys, peers of mine that came up at the same time, and I'm up on the stage. And what I can tell you is, it's exactly the same feeling that I have as when I played at home, for the love of it, when I played in the garage with my friends. Playing guitar alone is the victory. Be careful about the rest. You think you want the rest, and sometimes it's the worst parts of your life. The fucking touring, the money comes into play, and you think, isn't it amazing? Trust me, it dampers and it corrupts your bands. It corrupts your managers. It corrupts your relationships. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, woe is me because I had success. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the victory is just playing the damn instrument. It's playing the instrument you love, playing along with records. You'll never have the greatest times in my life with Extreme was before we broke. Period. Playing those clubs to nobody with Alice in Chains and having a fucking party and just getting on that stage for 20 people and not knowing that a Tom Morello was in the crowd in Orange County or a Neil Sean comes down with nobody in the crowd to see you play. And it didn't fucking matter that we were in a shitty club, no sound check. It just realized the love of what you do. And even, it's why I'm sitting here with you now. You know, what did I tell you how much I fucking hate doing this shit? We're not fans. What I'm saying is everybody watching, what I'm saying is when you play guitar, for me, when you play guitar and you pick up a guitar, there is a religious experience, something that happens within yourself and there's an audience and something you go up and do. And even when you're playing for yourself at home and you're lost in it, you get lost in what you do. Sometimes why you probably don't see me and people fucking, I've had people, I'm leaving your fucking Instagram. You don't play anything, you know, you just post photos and you tell fucking stupid emotional stories and like, fine, leave. I'm not your fucking guitar teacher, first of all. Because you know why? There's amazing guys that are doing it. I look at people like you and I look at guys that I follow and plenty of them that are amazing players and I follow them. I love what they do. They do this so well. And my jaw drops. I'm in awe and I'm glad. When I say I can't do it, it's not because I'm condescending. I'm saying I wish I could, but I have trouble playing emotionally if I don't play for a reason that means something, if that doesn't make any sense. That's why even if you see me post something in a fucking video, I have to be all in or not. I have to be emotionally in when I sing it, emotionally when I play it. And the reason I'm here with Herman doing this as well is because he's fun to play with. He has that same feel to me when I watch him play where it's like, wait, you're not really gonna give a fuck, really? This is just for fun? So we're not like the end of the world that if we fuck up or if we're not in the right zone or if it's 47 degrees out and, you know, I'm already making more excuses and we can't actually keep up with what you're supposed to be doing. It's good. It's just a party. It's just a hang. I'm in because that's the emotion of it. That's why I'm here.
I love that guitar is the victory, and it's so true,
so
right?
So true, man.
That is so true. The most important thing is always like having fun playing the guitar. Everything else is like, and I totally get it, you know, before you broke, it was more fun because there was no bullshit in it anymore,
No bullshit. It was just a band on a bus fucking doing it, not even knowing if we're ever gonna fucking, anybody's gonna show up. And we did it for the hunger. The good news is, I have to say, and I'll be honest, is you'll never see an Extreme show since then, even now, that is on stage for any other reason than that still. When you see the band live, the only thing I can say, and I don't brag about anything, but when you see this fucking band live, it's always, we black out like we're 17 years old and we're in it all the way in and we injure ourselves and we bleed and we leave it all up there. And the day that you see us up there punching the fucking clock is the day you won't see us up there. Mm-hmm. You will never see us up there just doing it for the money or just doing it to do it because that's what we do. I don't give a fuck if it's a club, arena, or a stadium, it'll be the same damn show. Mm-hmm. Always. Because the passion's always there.
So I gotta ask you this question. I do ask a lot of players, and especially, you know, you who had incredible success, right? And then there was this thing that was, I think all the great players from the 80s have to go through was like, you got the grunge and the new metal. So you right on the top there, and then this kind of storm came in. What was it like? I mean, to experience that kind of craziness where labels say, you know what, we don't care about any other music except this music that is trendy now.
The Seattle, we got to go to the gold rush.
Yeah.
You know what? I got it. And I loved it. I loved the fucking bands that were coming out. They affected me in the same way they affected everybody. When I fucking heard Smells Like Teen Spirit, I was like, hell motherfucking yeah. Because it had the hunger that I'm talking about, that I love in people. And you got to admit, the 80s are the 80s, but people were starting to lose that fucking hunger. You know what I mean? There were bands, it did become more about the shampoo and the conditioner than it did become about your playing or songwriting or everything else. It became, sometimes you could see the difference. And that happens with every phase of rock and roll. I don't look at, and when I was on the label with those guys. I was on the label with Soundgarden. Like, they were label mates. And when we spoke, they weren't saying we are grunge and they weren't saying you're metal. They were saying we are rock and roll. And this is the type, they were influenced by fucking Sabbath and all those other bands. They were still rock. We were influenced by the same, artists. Mm-hmm. So I loved it. I loved Stone Temple Pilots. Fucking what they were doing was more Zeppelin-esque. I fucking loved Nirvana. I loved all the bands, Soundgarden, all of them. Great singers, great songwriting, great lyrics. Were they darker? Yes. But it's usually, that's what happens in culture. It was a breath of fresh air. And it influenced me. And anybody who knows me fan-wise will go, yeah, it influenced Nuno. go listen to Schizophrenic, go listen to Mourning Widows, all my solo stuff. It influenced me, and I was okay with that. I was still me, I was still doing it, but it was me plus, because I was always influenced by the 60s, 50s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I was influenced by our peers while we're doing it. You read that all the time. The Beatles used to say, like, man, when we heard a fucking Beach Boys album, we were like, let's take a little bit of that. And the Beach Boys like, fuck, let's take a bit of that from the Beatles. It's okay, because it's art, right? It's art, and you're influencing each other. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The only band that deserves a fucking medal for never fucking changing is AC/DC. For nobody. And it's amazing. I fucking love AC/DC for that. They were just like, this is what we do, and this is what we're gonna die motherfucking doing. And that's what it is. And it's amazing.
Is that kind of like, did that kind of sit in, that influence, like that grunge era, that kind of got you to do the, let's say, 3 sides to every story? That was like a big production, everything, and then waiting for the punchline. It's more like classic, more like old school kind of production.
Well, I think that's a great question, because I think that's probably the furthest that it would influence an Extreme. And it was more, you know what is it's interesting? What I thought about some of the Soundgarden stuff and what I thought about some of the 90s stuff was that they were doing more what we actually were live than we were doing on record, if you know what I mean. There was a production on the album. And we were like, oh, samples and things. And all of a sudden we're like, wait a second. What they're doing is not really a sound or, to me, doing something. They're just saying, this is who we are, exactly who we are, with really no production. It was raw. It was in your face. And it was fun to go in and just say, it's what we sounded like in the studio to begin with before there was a great mix, or there were samples added on a snare, or a reverb or a chorus or things. And it was just really great to go like, fuck it, man. Like Neil Sean said it to us once live. He goes, man, you guys are so much heavier live. You guys rock so much more live. I didn't take offense to it. It was a compliment to me, but I understood when we got up there. So we were like, fuck, let's go in the studio and I'll play in the room together and let's see if we can pull this shit off. Mm-hmm. And that's what that was. That's all it was, It was just like somebody slapping you in the face and going like, can you just go be yourself for a second? Not that we weren't being ourselves, but like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about producers saying, let's make it slick, or let's make it like layer so many harmonies and layer so much stuff. I still love those records. 3 sides, without a doubt, I wouldn't fucking change a thing, because it is what it is. It's like, we're always going to look as artists, it's like looking at old photo albums, right, of ourselves, and looking like, were we really wearing that? Did we really do that? And I've never, unless I have to for certain reasons, I've never listened to one of my own albums after putting it out. Ever.
Really?
Ever. We finished Porn Graffiti, goodbye Porn Graffiti. We finished 3 sides, goodbye. Punchline, Schizophrenic, never. Because you know why? Because I will fucking listen to it 6 months later and go like, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I'm too much like, I just want to, you keep progressing, you keep evolving, and you have to leave it where it is. It's like a tattoo. You leave it where it is. That's it.
Interesting. Yeah, I always said, it's like an album, just a snapshot of our lives, right?
Absolutely. Snapshot of the soundtrack of our lives as creators at that point in time. And trust me, when I listen to Porn Graffiti, every song's too fast. We sound like chipmunks singing. It's like, even the solos are too fast. I swear to God. I feel like it, but that's youth. That's kids going like, it's gotta be faster and crazier and whatever. But when people probably hear us play the songs live, like It's a Monster, they're like, man, this thing's like feels a little bit heavier and a bit more swagged out. It's not like it's not like we're on fucking crack on those albums. So when we got to 3 sides, it started like, Steven Tyler says it in an interview once. He said, we were kind of just masturbating back then. Now we're fucking. You know what I mean? It's like we were like too busy, he goes, we were kids, and it's, he's so right. You start aging can be bad as well, in a way. If you don't want to take yourself too serious and be too but I think as long as you're true to yourself, wherever you are at the time, it's one of the reasons Extreme hasn't released an album in 10 years, because we were like, every time we've been writing, we've been recording, it didn't touch us enough yet. We would never have ever released something until what is the thing you always wanted to do when you wrote something and you were excited about? The first thing you do is you call your buddy. You call your buddy, your guitar player, or your friends, or like, you got to check this thing out, or whatever, your mates. Unless that's the feeling you have to show them back there in the city. That's the only feeling you have. You don't put out a record. We never put out a record to like, let's show the world and let's have a hit, or let's go do it. We couldn't, if I didn't call my brother up and go, dude, check out this fucking tune we just did, I don't want to put it out. And we finally have the album. It took long enough, but most of it was mostly recently, because we were in the right place in our headspace at the right time. And fans hate us for it. And they're like, yeah, we don't even believe you have a fucking album. We've been telling them for years we're going to have an album. They're right. We're assholes. But at the end of the day, this album that's coming, which we just actually inked a record contract literally 2 weeks ago, it's coming, you know, first quarter of next year. It's real. I can't wait to share it to you. I can't wait. I was
You
telling
did.
didn't I? Yeah.
Like 2 months ago, he was
played
going,
him.
listen to this. And I'm going, yeah, this is cool. But he was like,
I was excited.
I'm telling
I was
chat,
excited, you know?
he was like, Nuno was going, you gotta listen to this song, you gotta listen to this song, check this out. So he was like, you were fired up about
I was
it.
fired up, you know, and if I don't feel that, I don't want to release it. I don't want to punch in the clock and go make some money. You know, my manager always said is like, you are your worst financial enemy. You don't do anything for money. You got to stop doing that. Like, you got to go, like, you know, he goes, no, I want to love what I do. I want to, when we go out there, I want to play these songs. I don't want to play stuff I'm embarrassed about or worried about, or we shouldn't have put it out. It's not really me or whatever it is. To the point that one of the hardest things, and maybe you remember this, is it's hard to play stuff for your peers. For me to go to you and go like, you know, real players and stuff, go, hey, check this out. You know it. I'm excited about the album. While me and Gary were up here finishing the last couple of tracks, Gary went off to lunch. He didn't tell me what he was doing. He calls me from down the street. You know how far it is down there. He goes, get your ass down here. Is he back again? He's like, get your ass down here. And I'm like, why? I'm recording a guitar. It's the last guitar solo. I'm recording guitars. He goes, just get your ass down here. And I'm like, okay, fine. I was pissed. I put my fucking guitar down. I was in the zone. I go all the way down. I open the door, and it was Edward. So Edward's down at the door with Gary. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I was like, he was playing a track off of Wolfie's album. He was showing, you know, whatever. And of course, here's me. You know I got to be excited if I'm like, you got to come in here to Eddie. Like, nobody wants to be in a room playing your stuff to Eddie Van Halen. Nobody does. I've heard some shit already. Friends of mine that have done that. They tell you what they think. Him and Alex is like, they laugh if they want to laugh. I've been there, but I was so confident and I was so excited and I thought he would love it. I thought it was like kind of back to the egg a little bit for me of where I was influenced by him. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to come back. He's like, you know, because he's on his way out. And I'm like, listen, I didn't want to play it at that time. He's like, he could even play something now. I'm like, no. Stupid me. I want to finish this last idiot, because we didn't see him again. We didn't see him again, sadly. And we didn't know how sick he was. And he was telling us about a tour. They were just about to get the original band together with Dave and everybody, do a final farewell, like goodbye, fucking let's go out the way we came in. It was even, Wolfie was, you know, big idea about it. And we were like, this is amazing. And he's going to come back and listen to the album. And sadly, look, I don't have regrets. Of course, would I have loved to sat in there with him? I'm just sad that he's gone, and I'm sad for his family. And it's Eddie, man. We lost Eddie, and we lost him and we haven't, because he gave us so much, man. He could have passed away after the first 2, 3, 4 albums. Not that we want him to, but he would have already done more for guitar and music than anybody, in my opinion, has
Absolutely.
done.
I mean, his music, his playing is all in us. I mean, we play and it's like, there's Eddie Van Halen in there.
We have no choice.
As always.
We have no motherfucking choice. The earth froze, the dogs and cats were sleeping together, aliens landed, all sorts of things were going on in 1978 when you dropped that fucking needle on Running with the Devil. It was a wrap. Everybody went back to the drawing board. I know, I don't give a fuck if they made it Page, all of them. If Hendrix was alive, Hendrix would have called Eddie and go like, what the fuck you doing, bro? Like, everybody went like, what is this? What is this? This is level up. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And did it with emotion. Emotion, though. That's the huge thing for me. Play fast, do some crazy shit. That's what I want everybody coming up now. It's like, I know we drop our jaws online when we see guys doing shit that none of us can do, but don't, like, play with the emotion. Like, fucking feel it. Like, you know, cry during it. Make the thing cry. Even when it's fast, like, make it feel like, that's what I loved about Yngwie. People talk about Yngwie when he first came out and how the you know, sweeps and all stuff he did. When you go back to those records, a lot of people afterwards did it very cleanly and did it very perfectly and even faster than even this. But there was some dirt and some guck and some shit and strings ringing out and shit like Eddie did and he did and all the greats do. Page, the sloppiness. It's not a sloppiness. It's the
feel,
it's
right?
danger. It sounds dangerous.
It's like pushing, you like, not there. And it's like, I love it. I love the way the old school, the way they play it. You know, before Pro Tools where you actually can look at your guitar and go, oh, maybe I should play this better.
Look at it. Don't look at it.
It drives me insane when I make an album. It's like, oh, I can see the timing is not perfect.
And we're all victims of it. We're all victims of it. We got to be in a way where it feels good. And if it's pushing, it's pulling, let it be. Because if that's what touches people. If somebody does the same lick, exactly that lick, like that lick, like that lick, you're like, what's the purpose? What is the fucking purpose? I love it when I see people, and you probably do the same thing. I always see amazing players, women, kids, playing extreme stuff or doing a Play With Me solo, whatever. And I will watch every single one of them. And a friend of mine will go watch them with me and go like, oh man, they didn't really nail it. I'm like, yeah, they fucking did. They nailed it like they nail it. They're not supposed to nail it like I nail it. They're supposed to nail it like everybody's their own flavor to it. And they might flip something or do. I fucking love that. Love it, love it, love it.
Cool. Well, you're setting this up really good
did I do it?
for us later. In case we're nailing it the way we're nailing it later.
That's right. That's right. And I swear to God, there's no teleprompter right there giving us everything that we're. No, there isn't.
Have you ever been kissed by any other famous dudes? There you go.
Yes. That's crazy.
Questions
I was
from
just about to
chat.
say no.
Thank you, Twitch
yes.
chat. You guys are amazing.
Yes. And man, this guy might even be more famous. And it's like, imagine you've been invited by Brian May to play the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, which to me was one of the greatest days of my life and Extreme's life. If nobody's seen it, please see it, not because of us.
In Wembley, yeah?
In Wembley. Freddie had passed away. It was Freddie's concert for AIDS awareness, and it was his tribute. And everybody that was invited to play were everybody you wanted to see on that stage, from Guns N' Roses to Metallica to Def Leppard to Liza Minnelli to George Michael, you name it, they were all there. And David Bowie, imagine we're all everybody's backstage, and we're like, what the fuck, Extreme? We're one of the earlier acts. And we decided to do something really fucking seemed crazy at the time, not play any Extreme songs. We're gonna do a Queen medley. And I had knee surgery, my father was in a fucking cast, we were in Florida, and we put together, the reason I say watch it is because of the audience. And because we didn't know what was going to happen. We thought we were just going to play Queen songs, and we were going to play Queen songs and do a medley for our tribute to Freddie. We were wrong. That was Freddie's audience. That was the house that Queen built. And when we kicked into those songs, it was like an out-of-body experience that we weren't even playing our instruments anymore. We weren't playing the music. It was like, talk about, I don't talk too much about spiritual stuff, and I keep all that stuff to myself, but I'm telling you, that day, he was there. The audience was responding like it was him, and it was such a spiritual experience. It was one of the greatest days of our lives, and we will never forget it. I forgot why we went this way. I forgot the question that I answered. But, okay, get off stage, Elton John, back of the head. Mwah! It was amazing. It was amazing. Right on the lips. Loved it. Never met him before. Never met him before. He just loved the set so much. He's like, I'm proud of you. Mwah, big kiss. And I was like, if that was today, I would have posted that, he would be in trouble. He'd be in a lot of trouble, because that was like, I would have felt very violated, and I didn't, he had no permission to kiss me on the lips like that. We know he's interested in men, and that's fine, but this day and age, he'd be in trouble. But I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. So what I'm saying is, let's lighten things up a little bit. It's Elton John, for fuck's sake.
If you can relive
1 minute. From your career.
What would it be?
You have your top 2 or 3 moments, like the Freddie Mercury tribute. It's probably going to be a top 3. That night we went to Abbey Road and recorded the Orchestra London Symphony to 3 sides, like that same weekend. Can you imagine on the same back-to-back days doing Freddie Mercury tribute, then Abbey Road, where the Beatles did everything. But I think the first minute of, let's talk music life, right, of our career. You said career because, we can't go with kids and stuff like that. Those are always the best, and they're watching, so it's like, you're special, trust me. Except for this. No, the first one, I think my gut feeling is that when you're an artist and you're in a rehearsal space somewhere and you don't have a record contract and you're listening in the car to your heroes and on the radio, and you're growing up with the radio and you're hearing everything. And that first moment after you get a record deal seems to be the one you got a record deal, but as well as I do, the record deal is just the beginning. That's 1 in a million. Then you got to get on the damn radio, and then you got to tour, get on a tour. But it was that time in the van, coming back from a Connecticut show on our way to Boston, where we heard one of our songs on the radio for the first time. And it was a song called Kid Ego on the first album. And being in there and being who you grew up with and your heroes for the first time ever on the radio. And it was just, is this really happening? Like, did we finally, that's it, that was it. Like, we did it. There's somebody else listening to our music like we listen to our heroes. And even possibly our heroes. Can you imagine, they might be hearing us on the radio, and there was something so breathtaking and knocked the wind out of you at the same time that was so surreal that it wasn't an ego moment. It was just we all got quiet and we just looked at each other and we're like, fuck, smiling at each other like, fuck, man, sleeping in a rehearsal space for years, sleeping on people's couches, fucking playing to nobody, selling tickets by hand, all the shit we used to do back in the day. And here we are, man, in a shitty van on tour and fucking going into a city where they're playing our song. That was it.
Yeah, I remember a moment like this that I had was, we didn't have a record deal, nothing. We just made a demo and we did like a tour with Rob Halford, opening for Rob Halford.
Yeah.
Already that's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're touring with Rob Halford. And then on the last show in London, they were doing this thing with 3 singers. There's Rob Halford, Bruce Dickinson, and Jeff Tate from Queensryche.
Wow.
It's like,
that's the church of metal singing.
Yeah. And then after our show, the label guy that came in said, look, we want to sign you guys. It's like, wow, after doing that many years of, busting your ass trying to play the guitar, make a demo, writing some songs.
And he came in and the guy, it's the thing you always read, the guy with a cigar comes in, hey kid, we want to give you a record deal. Like do the big, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge.
I was like, wow, that's those early moments, right? They're really special. They're more special than, I wouldn't say anything that you've done later on.
No, because but they're the first. They're the first, and those first you never forget them because you don't take for granted being able to do more albums. You don't take for granted doing these things. You don't take for granted being able to be on a tour or playing for your fans, and you don't take your fans for granted. Like you're nothing without your fans. Like trust me, we play to a lot of empty rooms, and the fans. We appreciated the 12 that were there, or the 50, or the 100, and we appreciate if we played 3,000, or if we're at a festival and played at 30,000. It doesn't really change. We don't change. We don't go out and go, oh, let's punch it in today because there's only 100 there. Sometimes it's even, we play harder. And when we were at the Paradise in Boston, we did an afternoon showcase, an all ages showcase for a few record companies. A&M, they're the only ones that came up in the dressing room, and this scruffy guy who had got signed Soundgarden, came up and then we're like, and I'm just changing my clothes and I'll show you. I had my pants were down. No, I'm kidding. But I was just changing. I was changing my clothes, and he comes in, and I'm literally like, my pants are down. And he goes, "Hey, I'm Brian Huttenhauer, and I was sent." And everybody just goes back to yeah, great, from A&M Records, and he goes, "I was sent to if these guys don't pass out after the 3rd song and they get through the whole show, sign them." And we're like, "What did you just say?" And are you offering us a record deal at the Paradise in Boston, our hometown, afternoon all ages show? It's the same first moments we're like, is this really happening? This is how we dreamed it would happen, but it's special, man. It's special.
Yeah. I think all the people out there who plays the guitar, want to be in a band or do anything, art or, it is possible. I mean, you gotta pursue that dream. I mean, it's like, if my daughter say, well, I want to be a musician, I can't really say, well, don't do it.
Get a good lawyer.
Yeah. Like, mum's a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. Maybe I can try for that one. But
we got a lawyer right here. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like, look, with my kids, I said this. And trust me, there was times where my daughter jumped on a piano and I was like, you little shit. You fucking play it better than I do. And you can read music. I hate you. But then, to me, if it doesn't make them happy, I've never forced anybody to do anything. I told my son and I said, look, all I want, the secret in life is happiness. So, you see, and I was talking to him, I remember our garbage truck literally pulled up to grab the thing. And I said, if that makes you happy and you feel like Leonardo DiCaprio on fucking Titanic and you're at the back of this thing and you're like king of the world, and that's like you love garbage for real, but you're gonna get up every day and go to that job in traffic to do garbage, do fucking garbage. Don't sit in traffic like 90% of this fucking country going to a place that makes good money that they just unhappy at. I don't want to say 90, that was kind of harsh. But I look at my family sometimes, some people in my family, some of them are happy, but some have been doing it for their whole lives and they're just like, it's a money game. I get it, we have to pay our bills and we all have done shit jobs to do that. And there's no shame, there's nothing. But if you can, find the one thing, like for me, and us as guitarists, fine, we're sitting here saying, yeah, do what you love, but we had some success and it's easy for you guys to say it and the rest of us are struggling in cover bands. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's okay. When I was playing guitar in a band in the early days, I already knew it's a fucking slim chance to do this, but I knew I didn't care. I knew that if I don't get a record deal, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be in the greatest cover band of all time. If I learned how to sound engineer and mix bands, as long as, in other words, if you want to be a surfer, and you know there's only fucking 10 surfers in the world, it's worse than our gig, to do it. If you the bad word is fail. If you don't make it to that level as a guitar player, a surfer, a fucking lawyer, anybody, make sure at the very least, there are 10 jobs you can do in that world. Stay in your passion. Learn how to make a surfboard. Run a fucking bar on a beach so you can be by the water. Be a lifeguard. Like, if I didn't do this, I'm fucking doing music either way. I don't give a shit. Extreme flops, they come out and nobody cares. You better fucking believe maybe I'm mixing Rihanna and I'm the best soundman in the world. Or maybe I'm the best fucking guitar tech. I'm fucking Herman's guitar tech. You fucking imagine that? But be around the culture you love at least. Don't give up on the culture. I don't want to sound like we're fucking some, like, you know, Tony Robbins shit, but like, but it's possible to be in the world. In that world, there is water and beach and surfing and bar and drinking and restaurant. Like, be around what you love to do. Be happy. Make that effort. I'm telling you, because too many of my friends, family, they look at me and they're like, man, we work hard. I'm telling you right now, man, I started this company and I'm doing 12 projects at once. I'm not having the greatest fun in my life. I'm working hard to get to the place where I want to have fun. But I'm around what I love. I'm around film and television and soundtracks and music and what you're doing. We talked about Twitch and how you made that transition. We talked to you about it. I learned a lot from Herman. It was just like, Herman's like, wait a second, I can combine these things to do all the things I love and love to do. It's fucking brilliant. And it doesn't mean it has to be with a lot of people. It doesn't mean you have that many followers. It doesn't mean, it means all followers and all that fucking ego masturbation. It's all bullshit. Do what you love to do and the followers will come. The followers that are meant to follow you will follow you because you are touching them. If you do what you love, you will touch somebody.
I got some percussion shit though. It's called a, like computer.
Oh, really?
Can you play?
Is it on like a beat or something?
Yeah.
Like a little percussion thing?
Yeah, your backing track.
Oh.
Only.
Where'd you find that?
Only that one.
Found that on the interweb?
Yeah. Well, there's always YouTube, but...
Hey, hey, we're messing around, right? We're messing around, no judgment. Don't touch the cable, Nuno.
Don't touch it. Don't
even look at it. Spinal Tap.
I'm nervous. Are you nervous?
I'm just cold.
You're just cold.
My fingertips are just cold. which equates to like good luck. God damn it. God damn you, LA 48-degree weather.
I know. We thought it was going to be warm here today. It's actually freezing.
Yeah, it's probably warmer in Boston.
Nice. We're going to do this, right? Hey, chat. Don't judge us if we're too good.
Yeah.
We're going to give this a go. This is the first time we actually play this together.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a go. This is the reality of live. It's like we're jamming, like first time ever.
Yeah, this is actually, we've never played together before.
Yeah.
Ever. So this is cool. It's all happening. We're divergenizing a bunch of things today.
That's right.
It always goes back to the sexual side of things. Always. All right.
Let's do this. I couldn't hear myself because we haven't played it once.
We should probably rehearse. Yeah, I mean, you were doing some beautiful stuff. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it's like I could hear it, I couldn't hear it, but hey, this is the beauty of live, no rehearsal.
It sounded pretty what you were doing, man.
Yeah,
I love what you're
it's
doing.
like they couldn't hear it, but they were happy. Look, you killed it. That's what matters. Yeah, that was cool though. That was great.
Right.
Ooh, I love that song, by the way. Did I tell you that?
No.
Give me a little fanboy moment. I thought this was an awesome song. I'm waiting for the punchline.
Waiting for the punchline, right?
Yeah. Great.
It's not the greatest song to play when you haven't warmed up, but.
No, it's not. backing track was mixed and mastered by Tosin Abasi. Because
what the hell? He threw in like his favorite numbers, like the 11 teens. It was 11 notes. I don't know what the fuck.
Sorry about that track glitching for some
I was
reason.
sabotaged, I tell you.
Like we had everything against us. Even have to glitch the track.
The only thing I knew was actually the little track we had, which was, by the way, the whole Gen X band back there. We got Pete, and we got Derek, and we got Nick, and we got all the guys back there playing, man.
That was fun though.
Hey man, we gave it a shot. We're frozen, so it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah, I think the glitches actually made it more special because
Man,
you've never done it that way before.
I was like, I was like, somebody DJing? What is happening? Tom Morello put a kill switch on my track? What is going on?
Woo.
Anyways, that was fun, man. Hey, we get to play together for the first time. That's awesome.
I know, the first time for sure. I gotta do something very embarrassing before we get out of here. So here's a story. I have not bought a guitar for 20 years.
Because you've been getting them all for free?
For free. But this is, hey.
Oh shit,
Chat.
Paduke.
This is the first guitar I bought in more than 20 years. 1993, Nuno Bettencourt N4. The same guitar had in like poster on the wall, you know?
Yeah, this is from Punchline.
Yeah.
Punchline tour.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what? I bought one. I bought it from the guitar player that was in Queens, right? He started a guitar shop.
No shit.
He said, Herman, I got this. You know, you buy from someone you trust, right?
Wow.
And I'm actually gonna make you sign this. I don't know why, because
you probably want me to, whatever side you're gonna use it for a cutting board.
Yeah.
Let me sign the opposite side because you can cut. The cool thing about my guitars, I wanted to make it so you could play them, and then you could cut meatballs on them and like use them in the kitchen.
I'm gonna be a total nerd here.
Wow, man, I'm honored, man. I actually gave him this guitar. I paid him to do this so I could see it before I did it.
So you can buy these guitars at Washburn's website, and he'll make a royalty. So yeah.
Please pay my bills. I'm a starving.
Go get it. You know, he's got to pay for that helicopter fuel. You know.
I wish. One day we'll all have helicopters.
I'm gonna let you hold it in the way you're gonna hold it to sign. Can you sign here, somewhere?
Oh, sign it right there. What a diva! He wants an exact. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right. My name or yours?
Well,
all right, I'll do mine. All right. My goodness. I haven't signed a guitar in 20 years either.
Oh, I did it. It took me, 20-something years later, just after playing the guitar, 30 years playing the guitar to get this sign.
Wow.
Never give up on your dreams, you know?
All you had to do was look up my address on Google. You didn't have to wait 30 years. Wait outside the house.
Yeah.
My mom would have invited you in.
That's right.
I probably would have woken up in my bed with you next to me, holding it. And she would have been like, hey, he came in last night, he was tired, gave him your pajamas, and get in bed with him.
I say, obrigado, mama, for letting me in.
There you go, obrigado.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for
everybody.
This hang,
Thanks
man.
for having me, man. Seriously, though, like, no bullshit. We're semi-new friends, which is great. You know, I've always admired what he's done and his band and everything else, and I found out he did the same. But this is the first time we actually hooked up. We got together for the first time to sign some guitars on behalf of
Jason Becker.
Jason Becker, you know, and then we met up here, signed some guitars. We've been in touch since, and we were like, man, let's play together. Let's do something fun. And he took me up on it, and he called me, and here we are. And it's been incredible. It's an honor when anybody invites me to do anything, and even in this horrible weather, and my track bouncing out, and my hand. It's a fun hang, and it's amazing that you get to meet new friends in this business and good people like yourself, and I appreciate it. And talented as fuck, of course.
Thank you, and thank you so much for doing this. Obviously, I appreciate so much, and you're awesome. You're an awesome guitar player, awesome talent, awesome guy too. Super funny. I don't need to tell you that. It was semi-funny, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, semi-funny. Funny. But thanks everybody for tuning in, man. It's this is my first time ever on Twitch ever. I've heard about it but I'm old, so he brought me on here, and who knows? Maybe we'll do more, or there'll be like a new show we'll come up with. Who knows?
Now, next time we'll actually have time to rehearse it, right?
Yeah, we'll rehearse it, and then we'll sound just like we sound every other time and bore you to death.
That's right.
Instead of watching us flail.
They have the special one. We cannot recreate what we've done today. It's like the magic.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for coming to hang. I'm going to see you next week. Again, next week I got more guests, so check out, the schedule and all that. Make sure you follow Nuno.
Yeah. Hello, follow me. And I want to give a shout out to my two Twitchers, which is Ryan Chandler and Lorenzo Bettencourt, who's been doing Twitch since the beginning of time, and I'm just finally caught up. I'm cool now. Cool like you guys. Ryan and Lorenzo, here we go. All right.
Thank you. All right, everybody. See you later. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Let's go. Bye.